Hello, how are
Hey,
you?
Melissa, how are you?
Hi. You know what? I realized I've never met you.
We've never met. This is our
I
maiden
know
voyage.
Lance because I've met him so many times, but it's so great to meet you over Instagram. My name is Melissa Jacobs. This is Mainline Tonight. I am very honored to have Amy Mermaid Isakov joining us. She is a magical healer and has studied all sorts of holistic healing treatments. We're here to talk about finding wellness amid chaos, a holistic response. It's being held Sunday, May 3rd, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. It's a free Zoom holistic town hall with a whole bunch of different holistic experts. You can register for it at villagewellness.net. Amy Mermaid Isakov, I'm so excited to talk to you. So give us a little background about your healing therapies, what you've studied, and what you practice.
Sure. First, I just want to say thank you, Melissa, for having me and for your support of this event, because we're really excited to make ourselves available.
Be part of this.
Of course. So my background is pretty varied. I'm a nationally licensed massage therapist, and so have foundations in the body. Have also studied plant spirit medicine with Elliot Cowan, which is actually a Chinese 5 elements mixed with the language of plants. And it's basically acupuncture without needles.
Nice.
And so body work, doing this 5 element work, and then more recently, I have been deeply immersed in a cross-cultural Peruvian-based shamanic practice, which is really a synthesis of all of the philosophical things that I've studied, from evolutionary spirituality to, looking at how we can live a more sustainable life.
Wow.
Living with nature. How many levels can I actualize that? Is sort of the mini version of the background of what I bring.
Now, is that the same thing that Stephanie Moore does?
So Stephanie and I are both founded in a Peruvian tradition. They come from similar regions, but it's a little bit different. It's really interesting, being a Westerner carrying, or a Northerner in this case, a North American person carrying an indigenous tradition from South America. Thankfully, South American indigenous people have been so generous and welcoming with their wisdom and knowledge and ways, and they are like, yes, please do this. Please remember the earth, remember each other. And it's an oral tradition. So as it finds its way through the different teachers and translators, it gets shaped a little bit differently and comes into different forms. So Stephanie and I don't do exactly the same thing, but certainly related.
I know when I interviewed her before, she said she did all this heavy training in Peru. So me being North American, I'm like, oh, Peru, there's only one thing. But of course, there are many things in Peru. But
many things.
Many things, right. Okay, so you're not able to see clients in person right now, correct?
Correct. I'm not able to see clients. And actually, one of the things that was most disrupted is that I teach. I teach people the Pachacudi Mesa tradition, which is a particular lineage, a cross-cultural lineage. And I had been having these wonderful gatherings of people in my home, and you learn how to set up an altar in a particular way. And so, of course, we can't do that right now. We can't be with each other in the flesh. I have done some Zoom gatherings, and actually on Wednesdays, every Wednesday night, I have a gathering for the people who have been in my trainings. And we do a particular meditation, intoning of directions, opening up sacred space. And so we've been able to do that. And there's a lot that translates online, there, especially with something as numinous as shamanism, because it's in the unseen realm already. And then, of course, there are things that don't translate online. And so I am so excited to have everybody back in person, hopefully very soon.
So we're talking about shamanism. So some people don't know what that is. Can you explain just like an overview of what shamanism is?
Absolutely. So shamanism is a word that's come into the English language that once had a particular meaning, is now used in a very broad way to refer to any practice that recognizes the soul animated truth of all things. So whether it's tree, plant, stone, star, or animal, we recognize that all things are alive, all things have spirit, and all things are connected.
Yeah. So how does that translate to fighting a virus? I mean, now we're all talking about immunity, but there's a lot of talk on the news about pharmaceutical medicine and, what are we going to invent to fight this virus and vaccines and all of this stuff. This is a lot of heavy Western medicine. So what are you thinking about right now in terms of the virus?
So, one of the things that shamanism points us to is really magic. And one of my favorite teachers, Caroline Casey, she says, magic is a willingness to cooperate with everything. So when I think about, how shamanism can support our relationship with the virus, it includes the science. And it also includes taking responsibility for how we care for ourselves, recognizing that this vessel that we walk around in needs to be strong, resilient, and that it can only be as strong and resilient as our hearts, mind, and souls are. And so when I think about the virus from a spiritual perspective, it's actually quite a blessing. Because if you look at what's happening on the planet, on the planetary level, the global level, oh my God, the earth is recovering. The hole in the ozone layer is closed. The animals are finding that they have room again. The oceans are cleaner. The rivers are clear. I mean, the air. I don't know if you've seen any of these images where, in India, it's like the pollution it's like night and day, almost literally, even though it's day and day. And so, this tells me that perhaps no matter what you are holding in your mind as true as to where the virus came from, it does feel like in some way that this is Mother Earth's immune system saying, hey, sit down, humans. I need a minute. I need to rest.
Yeah. So, well, how do you jive that with, there's human death?
Yes, there's human death all the time. And actually, one of the things that I think has made our society so sick is that we have no relationship with death. I think that death is an essential part of life. It's what makes it so precious. And yes, it's tragic. And yes, it is hard. And yes, I am also of the opinion that in this particular case, we could have avoided a lot of it. Yet, here we are. And I think, this is something that, we all have to come to on our own terms. But for me, I feel very deeply true that my soul is passing through this life as Amy, and it will continue. And this is true for all of us. And we don't know what comes next. We don't know what may come of our, short or, for some of us, incredibly protracted lifetimes. Some people live a really, really long life, and for maybe the last quarter of it, they're hardly living. And I really think that the greatest tragedy in all of this with death is that people are alone. And the fact that people are dying and suffering alone is actually a place where shamanism can deeply serve. Well, so one of the things that we do in shamanic healing is we are able to travel and connect beyond the body, in not so different than how you and I are talking right now. It takes place in how maybe it's easiest to say a dream world. But it's very, very, very real. And so through a shamanic journey or ceremony, it would be possible to actually connect with the spirit of a person, even if you can't be there in person. You can still be there to connect and help carry their soul from this plane to the next. Or, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, there are pathways that have been held and kept and maintained by Indigenous peoples all over the planet that allow us to connect in these other ways in these other realms that feel more and more important every day.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing. So everybody can find out more about you at villagewellness.net. You have seminars listed there. They can follow you on Instagram and see all of your magic there. I'm so interested in this, and I hope to speak with you again. I will definitely see you